Ahoy! Captain Benzie here, coming at you with an intel report. This series takes the units of Command & Conquer Rivals and composts them down into fertilizer to spread on your gameplay to help it grow big and strong. Today we're looking at NOD Chemical Warriors. Wait, hold it. Before we continue, I need to let you know that I'd be doing you all a massive disservice if I was just to talk about the Chemical Warriors in this intel report. As such, I'm also going to be covering Jade, the NOD commander, due to her synergy with this unit. If you saw her on the thumbnail and are wondering why, do hold on, she'll feature later. Okay, that all said, let's continue. Chemical Warriors are advanced soldiers recruited from NOD's elite Black Hand organization. Specially trained and equipped, they produce Tiberium gas clouds that are highly toxic and corrosive. Chemical Warriors are infantry built from the hand of NOD. Though they're slow moving like most infantry, they are astonishingly robust and will take a lot of punishment to shift. This makes them pretty good at holding launch pads early on. Their chemical weapons make short work of enemy infantry, literally melting them in a caustic cloud of noxious gas. The gas that they spray also lingers on the battlefield for a few seconds, and continuously damages any units to pass through it, especially damaging to infantry. It should be noted that Chemical Warriors themselves are immune to Tiberium gas. These toxic clouds make Chemical Warriors dangerously effective on defense, as units wishing to engage with them must usually wade into a gas cloud, which will damage them consistently over time, even before the Chemical Warriors begin to attack. Remember these clouds, as we will be coming back to them later. If you're using Chemical Warriors, you can deal a lot of damage against multiple enemy units. If your opponent sends multiple units against Chemical Warriors, get them to spray clouds on every attacking unit. This way the clouds will continue to damage even the units that the Chemical Warriors are not attacking. Because of this, if you're facing Chemical Warriors, your best bet at removing them is with anti-infantry vehicles, flying or otherwise. Right, so now let's take a look at Jade. Jade was once a GDI researcher, along with her brother Dr. Liang, before an accident exposed her body to raw Tiberium. Fascinated by her subsequent mutation, Jade defected to the Brotherhood. There she continues her radical research into Tiberium and its destructive properties. Jade's commander ability is her Catalyst missile. The missile deals fairly hefty damage to anything on the tile you sent it at when it hits. It's not the fastest moving missile, so it is possible for a quick-fingered opponent to move their units out of the way. That said, the Cat missile is fantastic for taking out Juggernauts, MLRS, or other units that are slower moving. The Catalyst missile also reacts with Tiberium fields. Should the missile impact on a Tiberium field, it explodes, dealing increased damage and also damages all hexes around the impact site. Where fields are near pads, this means a timeless Catalyst missile can clear a launch pad suddenly. It can also be a great way of finishing off an enemy's harvester after a supposedly failed rush. Should the Catalyst missile finish off the harvester, you'll earn the 100 Tiberium bounty, and clean up any units they sent to defeat it. Considering that the Catalyst missile is currently 90 Tiberium at time of writing, that's a win. You can even do this to your own harvesters. If the Catalyst missile deals the final blow to your harvester, your opponent will not earn the harvester kill reward, and you'll likely wipe out every single unit that they sent to rush you, with a big fat denied. Of course, if that's all the Catalyst missile did, I wouldn't need to include it in this video, right? Well, remember those chemical clouds we talked about at length earlier? Oh yes, the Catalyst missile reacts with those too, and the results can be spectacular. If a Catalyst missile hits a cloud, it explodes like it was a Tiberium field. Even better, if a Catalyst missile explosion hits a Tiberium cloud or a Chemical Warriors unit, it explodes again, causing a chain reaction. Each of these explosions counts as a separate damage, so anything caught by multiple blasts takes massive damage. It's entirely possible to clear half of the battlefield in one single blast this way. Also, this leads nicely into my absolute favourite thing to do in all of Command & Conquer Rivals, and that's saying something. Now let's say you can get a Chemical Warrior squad or two at your opponent's base. Let's say they each spray 2 of the base tiles with gas. Let's say you aim a Catalyst missile right at one of those Chemical Warriors or gas clouds. Do you see where I'm going with this? Yes, that's 6 explosions plus the damage from the catalyst missile itself, and suddenly your opponent's base vanishes behind a lurid green mushroom cloud. I won't lie to you, this is quite possibly the single most satisfying trick to pull off in the entirety of Rivals. You'll probably still need at least one nuke launch for this to win the game, but it does allow you to tie up matches in a quick and downright hilarious manner. The synergy with Jade and Chemical Warriors means it's very rare to see one without the other, so now you understand why this video is both of them. So, having seen all of this in action, I'm pretty darn sure that you're eager to give it all a try yourself. Well, I've got 2 deck suggestions for you this time. The first is a recent deck I started running when the laser drones were launched. Now, after the MG Squad intel report, I found that people miraculously knew my deck as soon as the game started, ignored my scouting units, and went straight for the inevitable MG Squad. I lost a lot of games. I learned, and I didn't reveal my personal laser drone deck this time, until now. This deck uses militants for scouting before you send out a harvester. Laser troops are here to deal with early rushes and vehicle pressure, and then the Chemical Warriors hold pads and start spreading those clouds. Laser drones are great for dealing with stuck-in ground units like MLRS, or for dealing with tanks. Venoms are our fast-moving anti-infantry option, and Banshees are your anti-aircraft option in this deck. You can swap in Phantoms, but I tend to find them a bit expensive, and the Banshees also help deal with Pitbulls and similar. Of course, the laser drone rush I mentioned in the laser drone video can work with this deck too, but do be careful, as a failed rush will leave you ludicrously open. Only do it when you absolutely know it's going to work for you. The second deck is one that's been run for a long time by Doom, a long-standing top-tier player and a good friend of mine from the pre-alpha. Terra, one of my alliance mates, also runs this deck frequently with a lot of success. It's a very simple nod aggro deck at heart that uses Jade and Chemical Warriors to deal with enemy heavy infantry and considerably stronger late game threats. If the game should stretch out and your opponent starts building heavy tech units like Titans, well, Chemical Warriors will hold the line for a deceptively long time, and a catalyst missile explosion will quickly clear out even these larger bundles of threats. Militants again are your openers, scouting before you deploy your harvester. A second militant squad can assist with shockwaves and flame troopers on defense, and tempt your opponent into spamming these units. Laser squads again deal with early vehicle rushes like attack bikes, pitbulls, and later on in the game against tanks. The War Factory then has attack bikes to take out Talons and Venoms sent against your Chem Warriors. Buggies, also good for shredding infantry and do surprisingly well against aircraft, as long as said aircraft isn't anti-vehicle. And finally, the Scorpion tanks give you some heavy armor punch. Often, I've seen both Doom and Terra win the first missile, lure their opponent into building lots of anti-vehicle units, then base rush with Chemical Warriors to finish the match quickly. In case you hadn't guessed, I love this tactic so much, and it's been pretty viable throughout almost every single meta to date. I've seen plenty of variations, however. Some swap out the buggies and militants for Venoms and Banshees. Some swap out the buggies for Banshees alone, just to give some heavier anti-air punch. That said, I personally find that the additional building cost makes it harder to get the catalyst missiles off reliably exactly when you need them, and a good catalyst missile can deal with any unexpected threat. The deck does take a little bit to master, but I've run it a lot myself, and in honesty, it's a lot of fun and absolutely devastating once you get the hang of it. As a new and special feature for this intel report as well, as a way of sort of having a little bit more community integration, I wanted to start showcasing some replays from various different people in the community that I know that are running these decks that I suggest. As such, with his permission, I have included here a replay from Terra. In this case, I'm just going to let this play out so that you can see exactly how he uses Chemical Warriors and the rest of his deck to great effect. So this replay comes from the recent Rivals Champions Blitz event, and it's Terra with his Jade deck up against Nyla running a standard Nod deck fronted by Oksana. Terra goes into his usual opener using Militants. Militants have 3 vision and are slightly faster than most other infantry, thus they make a great opening scout unit. In this case, Nyla's opened with laser troopers, which are not going to be able to deal with those militants, especially now that there are 2 militant squads on the board. The main reason Terra has done that is to, if there are any flame troopers coming in, he can 2v1 against them. He can also move his unit forward that little bit and has just enough vision to scout the base, immediately see that air tower, and build a counter unit of attack bikes before that venom even really hits the board. That is the fantastic use of scouting there, in order to spot straight away what his opponent's doing and react immediately. Here, Nyla isn't going to have seen those second attack bikes by time that he sends out the second venom. Terra, on the other hand, is well ahead of his opponent here, can see what he's doing. Brings those attack bikes to stop the venom, and he's already pulling his chemical warriors out, ready to contest that bottom pad. He knows that venom's probably not going to go down, but he also knows that the chemical warriors are more than capable of tanking enough damage from those venoms for a long time, just long enough for those bikes to come in. Now, Nyla's had enough of these bikes at this point, and a Banshee seems to be a decent enough choice without having to open up a war factory and try and get into a Predator tank, just to deal with those bikes quickly. Flame Troopers clean up that Chemical Warrior squad, and it's up to Terra to quickly move up. Is that Banshee going for a Harvester kill? No, curiously it pulls back in. Terra's buggy comes in to deal with those Flame Troopers, missiles, lasers to the south to deal with the Banshee, and they are just getting melted by those Flame Troopers. Second buggy comes in, but Terra doesn't care. He has spotted his opening and is moving his Chemical Warriors in for that base kill. Now, interestingly enough, he's not going to be able to kill this with only the 3 gas clouds. Oh no, Nyla, no, no, no! If you count those explosions at the end there, you will notice that the 3 blasts, 2 from the gas clouds and 1 from the Chemical Warriors, was not sufficient to destroy that base. It's only Nyla sending in that Flame Trooper squad there that creates a 4th gas cloud and a 4th explosion that finishes it off. Well played, Terra. That was a fantastic finish. I hope that's helpful. Be sure to check out my other intel reports if you're struggling against certain units, or looking for tips as to how to best apply a new unit in your deck. Also check out my Acting on Instinct series with analysis of game mechanics and solid advice on how to get ahead in Rivals. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to subscribe to be up to date and ahead of the game. Happy sailing, and see you on the battlefield!